Frank, shut up. My cover's blown. There's Bonnie. God, I'm gonna kill that girl.
Literally spent the last hour chasing down Bonnie. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So, I'm up in the woods. I'm stalking the goats. Bonnie keeps on getting out. I've reinforced this fence about 4 times, and I'm about sick of it. So I let him up, and now I'm slowly watching him. Oh, that's Frank. Shut up, Frank. Stupid Frank, I hate that guy.
Frank, shut up. My cover's blown. Uh-oh. Okay, there's Bonnie. She got out. God, I'm gonna kill that goat.
And that leads into today's topic, whether goats are for you. So let's get into the reason for today's video. Today's video is talking all about goats. Should you get them? Should you not get them? The good, the bad, the ugly. I've had goats now for about, goodness, almost a year and about 4 months. And I can tell you that owning goats has been probably one of the most pleasurable things I've done. They are super personable, but they got their downsides. So let's get started. For a good pro about goats is they are super personable, friendly. They get along with nearly anything and everything. Honey will headbutt Spencer, but that's about the extent of it. And that's, I think, an aggressive goat. But to me, she's super nice. She's never headbutted any little kids. I've had several little kids over here. Never headbutted them. Yeah, and if you get him at a young age or at an old age, like I did with Elliot, he's 2 years old, and he's one of my more friendly goats. I mean, he's just a real lovable guy. And yeah, they're just really personable. They're small, easy to have. So that leads into a second pro. They don't really need a whole lot of room. You can't really put them in a small backyard, but as long as they have ample room to roam, graze a little bit, and if you give them the right amount of hay, they'll be just fine. I mean, they can seriously have tons of acres, or maybe even a quarter of an acre, but you're limited by your numbers. See me, I'm on 4 acres here, and I have just 12 goats, and I feel like I'm pretty maxed out with that number on its own. Reason number 3 you should get goats is they're super easy to take care of. Yes, they have their vet expenses, with deworming. You got to trim their hooves once a year, and also the feed. You can feed them grain if you want to. I only feed mine grain in the winter months, just simply because, when it's so cold, their body works overtime to stay warm, and I wouldn't want them to really be burning more and then losing weight and all that good stuff. And mind you,
What you want in on this conversation?
yeah, but yeah, just be mindful of the cost, because the more goats you have, the more it's going to cost. Unless you have tons of acres, they will eat all of it. I can promise you that. I have 2 acres of woods up top that they just destroyed. It looks like a bomb went off. It looks like it's a different world up there. It's because they just eat everything.
So, it's late spring, early summer. This is their enclosure. Absolutely no leaves. Everything's dead. It's all green. And then right on the other side of the fence is this.
Long story short, they eat absolutely everything, and they will take it down to the last green leaf. Another pro of goats is, they're really, and they're just really easy. They're very easy first farm animals. If you're first getting into farm care, and anything of that sort with, you want to start off with, 4-H animals, goats, so easy. Even little kids can handle them. They're just that easy. They're a great beginner animal. I started with goats, obviously, and then I went into llamas and, chickens and so on and so forth. And as I'm expanding, a lot of the basic stuff I learned from caring for goats really, I feel, has helped me along the way. With learning how to feed them, the type of hay, attitudes, just tons of things like that. So with the good comes the bad, and goats do have a few cons. So this is kind of more or less, it can be a con. It can be a con, but then again, it's kind of just basic care. But their worm load, you have to manage their worm load. It is crucial for their health. A good way to check worm load on goats, Mr. Elliott, I'm going to give you. So if you pull down their eyelid there, so if you see on him, hold still, you see how there's a little pink in there? That means his worm load is good, manageable. I'm not an expert, but I think it goes from pink is good, and it goes almost to like a lighter gray-ish on the bad side, like if their worm load is high. But, I always get my goats on a regular schedule with dewormer. I use Safeguard, and for the llamas, I use ivermectin. You just got to be mindful of that and always be aware that that is there. And depending on where you live, for the worms, Meningeal worm, which is the brain worm, or the deer brain worm, there's tons of different other names for it, but basically it's a worm that a deer has naturally, and the deer has worked up immunity to this worm. And so when the deer lays its droppings, if a slug goes over or eats those droppings, and then inadvertently, if a llama or a goat eats that slug, whether maybe the slug is on the underside of a leaf or something, and that's ingested, the worm attacks their spinal cord and their brain, and then they just lose function, and it's a deadly worm. And to treat it, it's very, very hard. I've never had it. That's why I worm my goats so religiously, but not to the extent where they lose where it loses its effect on them. Because if you do it too much, then it has no effect on them, and it won't even matter anyways. So just always be mindful about that. So that is definitely a con to owning goats. They're not as carefree, low maintenance as one would think, but they still are. So another con is, if you've been watching the videos, I literally have had 5 escapes the last week, just by Bonnie, Betty, and then Kevin, and then this guy right here. They are notorious for getting out of fences. I got the 5-foot fence no-climb horse fence from Red Brand. I got about 12 or 13 rolls up in the woods there, and I did a T-post every 5 to 8 feet, and they still get out. I don't know what is going on. I've been trying to catch her doing it. Okay, so this is the last time, I swear, I'm gonna make this quick. So fencing is very, 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 very important, for predators, because coyotes, fox, bears, mountain lions, wherever you live, you have different predators. But here in Iowa, all we have are really coyotes that are a real threat to goats. So, it's a process. That is just the best I can describe. For me, it's harder because the fence is so far away and into the woods that it makes it a little more dangerous for me. But if you have in your backyard, a privacy fence would be the best option, honestly. They're just escape artists, and that's just all there is to it. Yeah, but fencing is so important. Hey,
doing a video. Thank you.
Fencing is so important.
You want to call Colonel Sanders?
Other con to goats is that
Come here, honey.
so yeah, as I was saying, you know, just it's so important. So now another con to goats has to be, see, I wouldn't say it's so much a con, but they live a long time. You know, some goats can live up to 15 years depending on the breed. So they are a long-term commitment animal. So if you get a goat, make sure you want them for a long time. You know, I have 12. I'm going to be with these guys for a very long time. And even with these chickens for a while too. So, you know, just before you get them, know that you want them. And so that's the... Thought we were cool, but whatever. Yeah, but if you get goats, just know that it's a commitment. Look, but in short, if you think you're ready for goats, I say go for it. I love my goats. They are all... Oh my God. Give me that back.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
So, even in this video, you get a little bit of what they're like. They're very in your face. But if you think that you're ready for goats, I say go for it. Just make sure, you know, you have the proper space, you can afford them, and depending on where you live, if you live out rural or suburb, you know, just make sure that they're allowed in any of your zoning. Some cities do allow them, but not all. So just check your city ordinances, call City Hall, and just make sure before you commit that you can have them. So guys, that is it for this video. If you have any questions about anything goat related or even llama related, just feel free to shoot me a comment down below. I will respond to every single comment or question that you have. I love to, you know, be that person to help at times of need, especially when I was starting. I wish I had someone that I could have really talked to about everything. I figured all this out on my own through my own research, and then eventually through people who had goats like my vet and everything like that. So make sure to like the video, comment down below, again, anything that you have questions on, and make sure to smash that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. Kevin, for a second video in a row, would you like to say goodbye to everybody?
So good and tasty.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride
See a
down.
magic trick? Now look in the bottom of that. Oh, you didn't like that, did ya?
Wanna visit? Are you alive?